So, you're an empath. You're someone who deeply feels and absorbs what other people are feeling. And because of that, people probably assume you've got this huge circle of friends. I mean, you're good with people, right? But you might look around and find yourself with very few friends, maybe even none at all. Let's get into that paradox.
So if that sounds like you, I really want you to hear this, loud and clear. If you find yourself alone a lot of the time, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're broken. Often, it just means you've adapted.
And in the next few minutes, we're going to explore the 5 key traits that really explain this experience. And I don't want you to think of them as labels, but more like a mirror for your own life.
Okay, I've got 2 promises for you here. First, I'm pretty sure one of these traits is going to explain with almost painful accuracy why you keep ending up alone. And second, stick with me, because near the end, I'm going to give you a simple sentence you can use to test if someone is emotionally safe for you, without all the guesswork. But before we even get to the traits, we have to start with the most important question of all. We need to shift away from asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking a much more compassionate question. What happened to me that made closeness feel so costly? Because, our nervous system doesn't just decide to isolate for no reason. It learns. And this brings us right to our first trait. For a lot of empaths, socializing isn't just talking, it's taking everything in. It's a total act of absorption. See, if you grew up needing to constantly read the room just to stay safe, you didn't develop sensitivity as a hobby, you developed it as a survival skill. And this slide really breaks down what that feels like, right? You're not just listening to the words. You're feeling the tone of voice, you're sensing the tension in the room, you're picking up on the entire emotional weather. Your body is just constantly scanning who's fragile, who's performing, who's pretending they're okay when they're not, and that is exhausting work. Hey, let's do a quick check-in right now. Don't overthink it, just notice. When you imagine being in a group of people, does your chest feel a little tighter? Do your shoulders kind of lift up toward your ears? If the answer is yes, that's not weakness, that's your system screaming, "Hey, this costs energy." And that's exactly why you can spend 2 hours with perfectly nice people and come home feeling completely wiped out. So that energy cost totally explains why you might limit your exposure. And that leads us directly into our next couple of traits, which are all about seeking a very specific kind of connection, not just any connection. So this is so crucial to get. Empaths with few friends usually don't hate people. Not at all. They hate shallowness. They absolutely crave real, deep connection. But they just can't stand the small talk that feels like a performance, or friendships built on gossip. You can just feel it when a conversation is real and when it's just noise. And when your system just senses, you know what? This isn't intimacy, this is a performance, you naturally pull back. You start doing something that a lot of people might not understand. You choose genuine solitude over that feeling of being totally alone in a crowd. It's a profound act of self-preservation. Okay, trait number 3. This one often started early. A lot of empaths learn to be the easy one. You know, the one who never causes any trouble? So you became incredible at giving support. But let me ask you this, can you actually receive it? Can you let someone be there for you without feeling guilty about it? Because if receiving support feels unsafe or just plain uncomfortable, then friendships naturally end up one-sided. You become the emotional home for everybody else, while your own inner world stays completely locked away. And this is such a common trap for empaths, confusing being needed with being loved, because being useful was the only way you learned how to connect when you were younger. So all of this leads us to our final traits, and these explain that pattern of withdrawal, of just disappearing. And it's not about being dramatic. It's about finding safety when all the other signals have been totally ignored. This slide just perfectly captures the disconnect, doesn't it? To other people, it might look like you're ghosting them, but for you, it's often your nervous system's last resort. You tolerate things, you give people chances, you try to rationalize their behavior, but after enough subtle disrespect or jokes that just sting a little too much, something inside you just quietly closes up. They say you changed, but what's really happening is you're thinking, "No, I finally listened to myself." This is such a powerful idea. Your sensitivity is not the problem. The problem is when that sensitivity exists in a system that never learned how to set healthy boundaries. The moment you add boundaries, that sensitivity transforms from a source of pain into a source of profound wisdom. And that brings us to the final trait, the one that honestly makes everything else click into place. Empaths with few friends don't actually want more friends. They want safe connection. A connection where their nervous system can finally rest. A place where silence isn't punished and being honest isn't treated like some big inconvenience.
Okay, so what do we do with all this understanding? How can you actually use your sensitivity without ending up isolated? Let's look at a really practical path forward.
And the path forward is actually pretty simple. It's not dramatic at all. First, you have to stop feeling ashamed for needing downtime to recover. It's not a personality flaw, it's your physiology. Second, practice what's called small honesty. And third, you use that honesty to test for safety.
Now, small honesty isn't about some big, intense confrontation. It's about small, simple truths. Things like, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed today. Or, hey, that joke didn't really feel good to me. These little sentences are tests. Unsafe people will punish you for them. They'll guilt trip you or call you dramatic, but safe people, they'll just adjust.
And here it is. This is that core idea I promised you, distilled into a single thought. A safe friend doesn't punish you for having a nervous system. That's it. They don't shame you for needing to rest. They don't attack you for being honest. They don't try to manipulate you just because you need some space. So if you're trying to figure this out, I want you to ask yourself this one question the next time you spend time with someone. Not, did they like me or was I impressive enough? Just this. After I'm with them, do I feel more like myself or less? Your body knows the truth way faster than your mind does. And I want to leave you with this final thought, this big reframe. If you have few or even no friends right now, it might not be the end of the story. It could actually be the beginning of a much better one. A story where you finally stop betraying yourself just to belong, and you start choosing connections that don't cost you your peace. You never needed more friends. You just needed safer ones.